Figuring out Social Security can be a mess. When should you start collecting it? How much will you get? Should you start taking it first, or should your spouse? Should you delay your benefit to age 70? Will Social Security even be an option by the time you retire? Hi, I'm Alex Wolf, Head of Financial Planning at Base Wealth Management, and these are some of the most common questions I get about Social Security. And I get it, it's confusing. Today I'm going to break down 4 steps you can take to ensure you're getting the most out of your Social Security benefits. But for all of it to make sense, we need to clarify exactly how Social Security works, how it's funded, and how your benefit is calculated, how it may be reduced or increased depending on your age. And in case you didn't catch that, yes, you've been putting money directly into Social Security for all these years. Not from state taxes or federal income tax, but directly from your payroll taxes. You'll see these labeled as FICA taxes on your pay stub. As for 2023, 6.2% of your earnings will go straight to Social Security, up to the first $160,200 you make, and another 1.4% to Medicare. However, each year, that cap gets a slight bump. Unfortunately, it's not as simple as figuring out your yearly FICA contributions, adding them up, adjusting for inflation, and dividing by the number of years you worked, and thinking that's going to be your benefit. It's a tad more complicated than that. Your monthly benefit is actually determined by your top 35 years of earnings, adjusted for inflation, regardless of when you earned them. So if you worked for 40 years and 5 of those years were low-paying years, the formula basically ignores those low-paying years, even if they came closer to your retirement. Then Social Security adjusts those yearly salaries for inflation and divides them by 420, which is the number of months in 35 years. And if you've only worked for 30 years, you'll have 5 zeros in your formula, though it's not as bad as it may seem. Here's what I mean. If your friend earned double what you did, their Social Security benefit won't be twice as much as yours. Here's how it breaks down, and keep in mind that these are 2024 numbers. Let's say your average 35-year monthly salary is $7,200 indexed for inflation. 90% of the first $1,174 earned is calculated into your benefit. For earnings between $1,174 and $7,078, it drops to 32%. And for earnings exceeding $7,078, only 15% of that goes into the calculation. That's about $3,000 of monthly benefit. What about your friend who earned $14,400 on average per month? Their benefit would be just a bit over $4,000, not $6,000, even though they earn twice as much as you. It's almost like a reverse tax system. Instead of paying more as you earn more, here you earn more from the initial chunks of your salary. Finally, we have to factor in the age you begin collecting. There are 3 important ages. 62 is the earliest you can collect. 67 is your full retirement age for those born after 1960. And 70 is the maximum age. The earlier you start claiming, the less you'll receive. At age 67, you'll get 100% of your benefit. Claiming at 62, there's a 30% reduction, while waiting each year after 67 will actually bump another 8% up to 124% of your total benefit. So now that we know the basics of Social Security, we can get into those steps you can take to make sure you're getting as much money back as possible. One easy step is to make sure you've worked 35 years. Even if you're ready for an early retirement, you can easily avoid having some zeros in your formula by continuing to work. Nobody's saying you have to continue working your 60-hour-a-week corporate job. You can slow down, work part-time, and maybe even start your own business. Remember, the first $1,174 is the most important. Anything over that is basically a bonus, but at least you won't have zeros dragging down your average. Okay, you've worked at least 35 years and you're definitely ready to retire, but should you collect yet? Some will tell you that it pays to wait. Well, kind of true, but it depends. The system is actually designed to pay you a specific amount, but spread over either a longer or shorter time period. So if you claim early, they'll pay you less per month, but exactly what you should get if you pass away on time. And if you delay claiming until age 70, things will balance out if you pass away at your expected age. It's basically a neutral system in theory. Of course, we don't all pass away when it's convenient for Social Security. And if you plan on living a long, healthy life, then it may benefit you to delay till age 70. That way, when you're 100 years old and your nest egg is depleted, you'll still be collecting larger Social Security checks, and you'll be happy you waited until your 70th birthday to start taking Social Security. What if you're married? This is where things can get interesting and give you more overall flexibility. When you apply for Social Security, you'll have two options: claim your own earnings record or claim on your spouse's earnings. If you claim your spouse's benefit as your own, you'll get 50% of what your spouse would or will receive based on their full retirement age and monthly benefit. So you need to determine which variant will put more money into your pocket. If your own benefit is less than your spouse's benefit, then you may well as take your own benefit or vice versa. Even if that spouse is a former spouse, as long as you were married for at least 10 years and you did not remarry, you're still eligible to claim the spouse's benefit. The only caveat is that they are at least 62 years old. This benefit is probably of most interest to those who didn't work for a large part of their lives, such as a stay-at-home parent. So don't think that just because you've never worked, Social Security won't be there for you. Also, if you both work, you'll want to determine who can or should claim now versus later. You could always switch your claim to that of your spouse's down the road when they claim for themselves. However, any penalties for an early claim will follow you. So if you retire at age 62 with a 30% reduction, you will only get 70% of the 50% of your spouse's benefit. One loophole they got rid of was claiming your spouse's benefit while delaying your own. Crystal clear, right? Okay, now we get to the not very fun part. Unfortunately, many of us will outlive a spouse. In such an event, your spousal benefit would go from 50% to 100%. By the way, this could be an ex-spouse. Now, if a spouse passes away, you again have a couple options. You can either A, keep your own benefit if it is the higher amount, B, claim your spouse's if it is the higher amount, or C, keep your own and then jump to the spouse's while letting it grow. But one thing you cannot do is collect both at the same time. It is important to know that when one spouse passes, you will lose one of the monthly Social Security benefits and need to plan for that reduction in income. I hope that these brief explanations help you understand the bigger picture and how you can use the rules of the system to your advantage. But just to recap, what we need to consider is your benefit amount, how much less or more you will get based on your claiming age, and your spouse's benefit and your survival benefit if it ever comes down to that. Unfortunately, that's pretty much the easy part. Next, we have to compare your options to your greater investment strategy and financial goals, and consider things like the withdrawals from your regular savings, your tax situation, and any estate planning considerations. I know this is all clear as mud, and that's why we're here. If you'd like to continue learning, I recommend watching our video on long-term financial strategies that take Social Security into account. Remember, I'm Alex Wolf, and I help people like you figure out the mess of Social Security, taxes, investments, and legacy planning. If you'd like to discuss anything finance related, feel free to click the link below or go directly to our website at basewealthmanagement.com. And thanks for watching.